My friends, welcome to New York, probably the most famous city in the world. And even though some really dream of moving here and live, for others it can be an absolute nightmare because that's not an easy city to live in. And in this video, I wanted to share with you 5 disadvantages of living in New York that would make you hate this city. And by the way, my name is Dari. It's been already 2 years since I'm living here. I'm making travel vlogs and also showcasing my life here in New York. Be sure to subscribe to my channel and take a look at this video about 5 advantages of living in New York. So let's get started. One of the biggest disadvantages of New York City is actually quite dirty. Many of you told me about this to be prepared, so I knew it's gonna be like that, but it's still a bit shocking sometimes, I'm not going to lie. I think one of the biggest problems is that they put garbage bags outside on the streets and then the cars are picking it at night several times a week. And the issue is that there are not many garbage bins in the city, which is actually strange because most other cities all around the world have them. And sometimes when you go there and you see these garbage bags on the streets, the smell can be horrible if it's not like a paper or glass day. And I still remember one time I was returning home. I live in Queens. It was around midnight, and that was the night when people are taking their garbage on the streets. My friends, I almost threw up. It took me like 10 minutes to come from metro to home. The smell was so bad. I experienced it twice in my district. Usually it's quite clean, but that's very unpleasant.
And exactly because of these garbage bags on the streets of New York, there are so many rats that you can see them everywhere. And also because of this, apartments always have cockroaches, no matter how clean you keep them. Just look at this monster.
Originally, I'm from Moscow, Russia, and when I think on the city, like the city center, where there are the most attractions, it's usually for me the most beautiful, the cleanest, the safest area. And in many other cities and countries where I lived in, it was the same, but in New York, it's different. Like downtown, as it called city center here in the US, it's usually one of the dirtiest places and very unsafe. And especially like locals, they don't come to the area like Times Square because it's just so dirty. And my university is located in Queens, not so far from Jamaica. And I've been to that area like twice or 3 times when I needed to do some of the documents. Oh my god, it was so dirty, it's horrible. Like you see all this garbage, like bottles, paper, like on the street everywhere. This is crazy for me. Like I'm not used to that. The city where I'm from, it was quite clean, and the other cities where I lived, it was more or less the same clean. But New York is definitely crazy in this case. It's not all the time like that, truth to be told. They do clean it. Like right now, I'm filming on Saturday. The streets are pretty much clean, but I know that this area, few days after, it can be horrible. The city that never sleeps. It can be advantage for many people, but honestly, for others, it can be an absolutely nightmare. New York is the loudest city I've ever been to, and it's no joke. Like it's loud 24/7, especially if you go to Manhattan, to the zones like Times Square. Locals hate this place. It's so crowded and it's so loud all the time. My friends, I remember the moment when I came to the US and I moved to my first apartment here 2 years ago. I could not sleep the first night because it turned out that we are living not super far from the fire department. And all night there were cars, like fire department cars, and it was so loud. Yes, I didn't sleep like probably the first 3 nights with that. Then I got more or less used to this, but I was shocked. And by the way, interesting fact, I don't know why, but in New York, and I think in USA in general, the ambulances and the fire department cars, they're much louder than in any other countries I've been to. So interesting fact. But definitely, New York, it's super crowded. There are people all the time, and during the Christmas time, oh my God, I hate going to Manhattan. It's impossible to walk around. There are just so many people. You wait for like I don't know 5 minutes to walk just one block. That's not okay. And honestly, I don't remember in other countries to be like that. Istanbul was pretty crowded as far as I recall correctly, but not as much as New York. By the way, my friends, if you enjoyed this video and want to support my channel, you can send me one-time donation via Buy Me a Coffee or join my Patreon community. I will be super grateful for that. Thank you so much in advance. And now let's continue with the video. Now let's talk about safety, because I wouldn't say that New York is a very safe city, and I believe many Americans would agree with me. The city definitely has very high crime rates, and I wouldn't say I'm very scared walking on the streets, but sometimes, especially at night, it does make me feel uncomfortable, especially the metro. I think one of the biggest issues about that is that there are a lot of homeless people in the city, and quite a few of them are crazy, and they do behave sometimes very crazily and often aggressive, and it does scare. Like sometimes I'm walking in the street of Manhattan and there's some dude under drugs just start screaming, beating something, and truth to be told, usually they're not harming people. But for example, a friend of my friend was just punched in her face just walking on the street. So that's definitely can happen, and it definitely makes you feel very anxious sometimes. I lived in 10 countries and visited many cities, but definitely I haven't seen a city with so many crazy people like New York. I heard that Los Angeles is quite bad. I visited just for 2 days, so I cannot really say anything. I have not experienced this in everyday life, but New York I had. So it can be very unpleasant, and honestly, for people who very used to live like in very clean, safe cities, New York could feel very uncomfortable, very unsafe. But for those who traveled a lot, I think New York will be more or less okay. Another thing that I absolutely hate about New York, it's actually its subway. I mean, kudos to the city that it actually has a subway, because so many American cities don't have it, and I can't imagine living in New York without using subway. But I mean, I'm pretty sure that even if you haven't been to New York, you saw so many videos like that.
New York subway is definitely far from the best. Many stations are often filled with trash, belongings of homeless people, and sorry to say, even human waste. But what worries me the most are inadequate people. But honestly, the thing that annoys me the most in metro, it's huge delays. Like you never know when you're actually going to arrive in 40 minutes, as Google says, or in an hour and a half, as happened to be today. And this is just one example. I came to the train stop. It was showing firstly that the train will be in 1 minute, then 4 minutes, then it jumped to 14 minutes, so I had to wait. And then I came to the train. Everything was going okay for a few stations, and then happened this. The train just stopped for like maybe 12 minutes. Then it started going again super slow, and now we stopped on another station, and we're staying here for again for like 7 minutes. This is crazy. Like, so taxi, I checked Uber, the cost is like absolutely enormous price, so definitely not paying that. So this is reality of New York, and we stopped again, like every single stop. In the end, I made it to my station but was late for 40 minutes. And unfortunately, it happens way too often, especially like the fact that the trains can go super slow from station to station. Sometimes it can stuck in one station. I still remember I was returning home. The normal way would be like 25 minutes. I was returning home at night for 2 hours. And it's actually very bad, especially if you have an important meeting, an interview and stuff. So this is unfortunately something that really pissed me off in New York. And the last disadvantage that I wanted to share in this video, it's actually cost of living. In New York City, it's very high, and I think you cannot really imagine how high it is until you actually move here and live for some time. For example, we are right now in my favorite district in Long Island City. It's a very clean area, Manhattan just across the river, and the apartment here, one bedroom, cost around $3,000, $3,500, just one bedroom. And my friend lives here with his girlfriend, and he is paying $4,200 for two bedroom.
this is just so high. And in general, rent an apartment in New York, it will be incredibly expensive. Let me give you an example. When I just moved to New York, I rented with my two friends a 2-bedroom apartment in Queens. Not in this area, but it's also kind of nice district. We paid $3,000 for 2-bedroom, but it was a very old house, so everything was getting broken here quite often. There were like insects, and no matter how much we cleaned the apartment, they were still over there, and it's just very, very expensive. And for example, when you're a young person and you live alone, or you live with your boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever, and you're renting a place together, you share the price and both of you are working, it's kind of can be okay, right? But the moment you start having kids, it's becoming just super expensive. For example, if you want to go to a nice restaurant, not Michelin star, but like a simple nice restaurant, and let's say it's you, your husband, and 2 kids, you're probably gonna live there like $200. And again, it's not something super wow to restaurant. So that's why so many people, when they start having kids and family, they're moving to another states, to Long Island, to many towns over there, because life with the family here is incredibly expensive. And definitely this is something to consider. And my friends, in the end of the day, for me personally, I hate all these disadvantages I mentioned to you, but I found more advantages for now at this time of my life living in New York. So I really hope that each of you gonna visit the city at least once to decide for themselves if they like it or no, if they decide to move here or no, because in the end of the day, this is the most popular city in the world for a reason. It has an amazing energy. One more time, take a look at this video about 5 advantages of living here. And if you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to leave a comment under this video, press the like button and subscribe to my channel. And let's explore the world together, shall we?